I've been away from my home for close to a month now on a big long cross-country trip. And as a result, my garden has become a little wild. There's some good things that have gone on actually, and some not so good things. So I'm going to go through the whole garden and show you what's occurred when you leave it alone for 30 days. I have had sprinklers going, which my mother-in-law would turn on every few days. It's gotten close to 100 degrees here in Utah in June, and so without those sprinklers I would have just come home to mostly dead stuff. So let's start here with our green onions. They're doing great. As always, they have a few weeds in there which will be need to be weeded out, but they have some flowers also that need to be plucked out. But the green onions look quite happy. If we look over here at this lettuce, you can see it's gone to seed, which it usually does in June. Some of it maybe not though. I'm going to taste a little bit here. Yeah, that actually tastes pretty good. So I guess I have some lettuce I can eat still, despite it having been up close to 100 for several days. But obviously some of it, like this guy right here, is done. These beauties right here are carrots. They're second year carrots. They've overwintered and I haven't gotten around to pulling them out. This bed here is actually intended to be planted in cucumbers any day, as soon as I get around to it. Amidst these carrots you see some yellow flowers. These yellow flowers are actually our aniseed, so they're doing pretty great. I'm not going to pull them. I'm going to leave them to collect aniseed later. Planted a few basil here that have flowered and been eaten up a little bit, but I think they're going to survive. I'm going to take those flowers off of them and spread some Sluggo Plus. Here we have some smaller anise, which has not grown very much. I don't know if the water actually got over in this part very well, so, but it's alive. Here we have some thriving mint plants. I did not plant these. I will transplant them though, because I don't want them to take over my garden, but they are looking beautiful. They are what would be a weed if it were not something I liked. Here we have our garlic bed, which doesn't look like much. It's a little overdue for harvesting actually, and so I intend to go harvest that today before the cloves start to pull away from the bulbs and not store as well. But we should have a gigantic garlic harvest there. I would estimate about 100 cloves or so, but we'll see. I'll do a video. This little plot here is empty. Can't remember why now. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm supposed to be planting some melons in there. We have enough season left to do that. When the garlic gets pulled out, it's going to be replaced with corn, by the way, which we definitely have time for. I'm going to go over here by our air conditioner. Next to the house here we have artichokes, and they're looking pretty happy. They're looking a little dusty because the sprinklers we have tend to make dust come up a little bit. We even have an artichoke growing on one of them, which I wonder about. It's a very small plant to be growing an artichoke. I might pluck the artichoke off. It looks like it needs to be harvested. Here we have our leeks, which are getting a little weedy, but otherwise look pretty happy. Here we have what looks like just a bunch of weeds, and mostly is just a bunch of weeds, but amidst those weeds we also have some carrots growing. There's a carrot. So that needs to be weeded, I suppose. You know, I like to put a positive spin on things. We'll just say that those weeds around the carrots have helped to keep the carrots cool in the heat. Over here, again, it looks like just a bunch of weeds. But actually these are onions, and they're actually doing pretty well. They're all in there, and they're pretty happy. Just need to be weeded. Let's see. We have a bunch of Swiss chard. This is a yellow variety, and it's kind of eaten up. I would have put, I'm willing to bet it's slugs, so I'm going to have to put some Sluggo around. Probably also going to harvest some of those leaves. I don't care if some bites are taken out. I've got some of the loveliest Swiss chard I've ever had, I've got to say, actually. And it doesn't seem to mind the heat so much. Here I have a volunteer potato, which I guess I'm going to leave. It's already flowering, so there are going to be some potatoes under it. That'll be nice. Our zucchini has been really crowded by weeds and other plants. This one less so. It's flowering, probably just male flowers. That's how they start out. But we should be getting some zucchini shortly, and I'm going to weed those and tend to them so that they get happy. Some of these kale are looking pretty happy, actually, and they're not even getting eaten up by anything. Well, a little bit right here, but I'm not seeing aphid damage on them, which I have seen in our garden with other forms of kale. This is lacinato, or dinosaur kale, and yeah, we need to start feasting on kale. We've got quite a bit. We have some that went to seed, but then other kale that's just looking big and happy. Now these lovely flowers here are closely related to carrot, I'm told. These are parsley. I did not intend to grow parsley flower, but I also knew that I was leaving. I wasn't going to be able to replace the plants with anything, and I thought I should leave a root in the ground. And now what have I done? I have given lots of flowers for these pollinators. So during the morning, usually there are tons of pollinators. Looks like mostly pollinating flies this morning, but I see lots of bees and other lovely pollinators on there. They're going to come down, but for now, they're good for our pollinators. Some more kale, another diminutive-looking zucchini that needs probably more room. I might transplant or just get rid of some of the kale. We don't eat that much kale. On the fence, we have tomato plants, which kind of hard to make out. Here's one though. This must be a cherry type or a grape tomato. So many flowers on there. Probably need to pull a lot of flowers off, let them grow. They're surrounded by weeds. Here's some green onions that I've transplanted out here that have survived. They always survive. These green onions I've interplanted among the tomato plants. There's so many weeds. Got to pull those weeds, and I got a lot of basil, tons of basil growing in here, but it's looking very mature. It's got just too many seeds growing. I'm gonna see if I can save that from just dying off because it's gone to seed. Here we've got a volunteer sunflower, which I think I'm going to leave. I think that's a pretty good spot for it, actually. It'll be in a path, sort of, but we'll see what kind of sunflower we get off there. Looks like it's going to be a big one. Let's go around to the other side of the fence. This actually looks kind of nice. These are potatoes growing under leaves. There is some Bermuda grass trying to take over, which I will have to handle. But we have a bed of potatoes that are not really very weedy and look pretty healthy, and hopefully will yield us a whole ton of potatoes. They've done quite well. It makes me think if I had deep mulch, I probably could leave all sorts of things for a month without even tending except for water. So I'm very excited about our potatoes. They're pretty happy. Here's a volunteer potato, but right next to it are some raspberry starts that we started that have obviously taken root now. There's some new growth on them. Some of our raspberry starts are looking a little less happy, but they should do pretty well here. Again, they need to be weeded. I also have asparagus that I've started from seed this year, and it looks a little sad, but it's growing. It's still alive, and I'm thinking, asparagus is a multi-year project. Hopefully that will take off. More volunteer sunflowers. I think I'm going to leave those, except the one over in my asparagus patch is a little too close. It might take too many nutrients. Also, sunflower tends to be, oh, look at this grass. I'm going to get out here and mow. And on this side of this fence, we have a bunch of peas that have, they would have been lovely to harvest, I'm certain. They've done quite well. They're just about to the point where, in fact, some of them are at the point where I could harvest them for seed. There's a bunch of pea seeds here. And maybe I will. This winter, maybe I'll collect these pea seeds. Might as well let them finish up drying. Probably off the plant so I can do some other things here. But and I'll do some broadcast seeding and do that as an overwintered cover crop. But it probably will die off, I'm guessing, around Christmas time. I might get some peas off of it. These things, these are the fruits of arugula. Arugula grew for the first time. Not sure I like it. It tastes to me kind of like leafy radishes. They taste like radish. And I'm not a big fan of radish. I have some pepper plants in here that are actually trying to grow flowers. Right here is a pepper flower. But that plant is like 6 inches tall. So I gotta weed them. And give them some space, and we'll see. I've never grown peppers terribly successfully. But I'm growing small peppers, like hot peppers this time. And I think they'll probably do okay. And the water, you can kind of see where the water reached and where it didn't. There's the jungle, and then there's the desert. We'll get some water over here though, and the grass will come back. It's just dormant. Here we have some peonies that need weeding, and more than that, they need watering. They're looking pretty unhappy, but they're going to get some of that today. Here are our blackberries. There are lots of them growing on here. These blackberries actually grew under this fence from our neighbors from years ago, and our current neighbors don't even want anything like that. They just have grass in their yard, and these blackberries are doing pretty well, considering that we do almost nothing to help them. I make sure they get water. Haven't done that, but my neighbor's lawn is wonderful, and it appears that he has made sure they got lots of water. So I guess I don't really need to worry about watering them. You can see this is pretty lush over here. Our peach tree was afflicted with aphids earlier. I was worried that it would suffer for lack of water, but it's actually done pretty well also, and the aphids seem to have gone away. They must not like this hot weather. And pulled most of the peaches off. It's still a young tree, and I want to get lots of growth out of it this year. Here's our apple tree, which I would be even more afraid for than the peach. Well, these are a little curly, but that seems to be always how it is. I think this is a Braeburn apple tree, and it's in its 3rd year, and looks somewhat happy. Want to get lots of growth out of it. This this is not good weather for this guy. This is our rhubarb plant. I can see some of those Some of those leaves have really gotten ratty from the heat and then eaten by whatever comes and eats sick plants. I'm probably going to put some Sluggo down here as well. There's a lot of growth around it, vegetative growth around that, and needs to be cut back. So you can see there's a lot of work to be done here after a month of neglect, but I'm going to be able to still save this garden, and I'll show you what it looks like as I do various things. And thanks for watching this thing. I hope it lets you know how things might turn out in your garden if you were to leave it for almost the entire month of June, which is really peak planting time, the height of sunlight, height of growth. Usually really terrible time to take a long vacation, but hey, sometimes you just got to do things for your family. So I hope you go watch some of my other videos. You'll see a few more successes, and keep watching to see how I learn as I garden.